show you how to get up and running on Integra Reports portal. We will walk through the simple steps to create a new project from scratch, and I will show you how to manage your data effectively to keep your project on track. So let's dive in. After signing up, you will be directed to Integra Reports homepage like this. Here you have projects button here, or you can start for free. And in this one you have the options for the pricing, but let's go to projects. And in projects I can see the projects that I have created before, and I can create new project from here. So when we try to create new project, you have some settings you have to fill out. The cover photo is the image that you want to create for this project. Here, this is if you are going to create a project that is for personal use, which is one user, or for shared use. Shared use need a license, which is something that is managed by plans. So you can check the plans here. And for personal projects, this is what we are going to try today, is to create personal project. And I'm going to use title. This is new test project. Company that we are going to use, test company, and your position at the company, let's say project manager. Country, Sweden for example. This is basic info about the project. And then we create. This will lead us to the project dashboard. In the beginning you will get an intro about the project, like this is the notification panel where you see all of your notifications. Here is your tasks panel. Where you manage users of the project and add them and their user groups. Here where you add resources of the project, activities, areas, settings, and finally reports. So we will go through each one of them, and let's start by creating resources for that project. And here we are going to create in the resources table. This is the resources that we already have, the owner user, and I can create resource from here. So let's say I'm going to work with one equipment, and this equipment is going to be, for example, excavator. The type of this resource is equipment, and it is hourly based, hourly rate based, unit price for this. This is how much it is costing per hour or per unit, and we can put any number. There is no currencies set up needed for Integra Reports, so you can put everything in the same currency. And the company, it is fetching the company that we added for the project, but we can create new company here. So if I want to add a new company, I can say this is sub, or I will call it equipment provider. And create. Now after we finished creating first resource, let's create first activity. And in the activity we have the activities table here. We also have general activity that is already created. I will create another activity. I will call it, for example, excavation. Sub-project is where this excavation was. It will be under, for example, earthworks. Companies. It will be, this activity is where defining this activities companies. What are the companies that can report on this activity? So here I can choose multiple companies that can report for this excavation activity. the unit of this is how much the total excavation quantity, so it is for example in cubic meter. Primary resource, currently I don't have any primary resource for cubic meter for this, so I will keep it empty. But primary resource is used to calculate the progress. So if for example, we have a concrete activity, and it is a concrete resource that use it. So the primary resource for the concrete activity or for the slabs activity is the concrete volume. So that should match the unit price of the activity. Unit price for this activity, not for the resource, for the activity per cubic meter, let's say it's 250. And the estimated quantity is 1 or 10,000. I can set up the start date of this activity, 1st of February, and date is 28th of February. And I can create the activity. Success. Here we can see a simple Gantt chart of all the activities that are ongoing. We have the general activity that was already built in, and we have the new excavation activity. In the general activity, I can drag it to be as I want, so I can change it from here and then change the end date for it, for example, and save changes. The third thing we need to set up is the areas of the work. Here there is general area already set up, but I can add new areas. So let's add area 1. And the companies that can report in this area or see this area is the equipment provider, and responsible of this area is the owner user. For the area that was already created, I can delete that, no need for it. Now, for the users that will need to work in the project, currently it is a single project user. But here, if I try to add, since I set up this project as personal project, I cannot add users until I convert it to a shared project. So now I'm going to convert this user to shared project, which will eat from my licenses. So here I'm going to say new test project shared, and will convert to shared project. Now, once this is converted to shared project, I can add more users. So I have one user, for example, that I can add. Let's try to add myself. The user that I have to add should be already signed up on and verified his email, and then I can find him by email when I search here. So when I select the user that is already signed up, here I should select the company of this user. And if you see, we have the two companies that we set up already. This is the test company, that is the owner or my company, which you can see here also. And there is also the equipment company. The equipment company is the one that we boot for the resource here and for the activities and for the areas. So I'm going to choose that this user is going to be from the equipment company. Position, this is project engineer. And the group, Integra Reports already set up 3 default groups. I will set standard user for now, and I will show you later what the permissions of this standard user look like. And then I'm going to assign a license for this person, then add. Great. Now for permissions of the users, you can access permissions from here or from the settings page. On the settings page you have permissions tab, and in the permissions we have as we said 3 groups that auto created in Integra Reports. First one is no group, which is the one that has no access at all to anything. and project admin group is the one that has full access to everything. And then I have the standard user, and then I can change the members of those groups from users or from members here. And for this standard user group, the default setting is that the users from this standard group, they can see all their company records, reports, and resources, activities, areas, and issues of their companies. They can create reports, they can create issues, and they can create attachments. When I block those or add more permissions, then they can delete, for example, reports, or they can create resources, create activities. For example, I will set this users group to create activities, save changes. I can also create a new group and call it whatever I want. Let's say I want to have area 1 engineers or contractor. So area 1 contractor here, they can, I don't want them to view resources. I don't want them to view activities. I don't want them to create issues or attachments. They can only create and view records. Save changes, and then I can later add members to these groups. Good. Now, since we have our permission groups set up, I can also set up reports workflow. And reports workflow, if I want, I can create reports without workflow, or I can force workflows to be used in all the reports. So in the workflows, if I want to add a workflow, I can create workflow from here. And let's say this is area 1 reports review workflow. And this applies for daily reports, for example. And it is one step of review, means that there will be an initiators and reviewers that will review and approve. Who can initiate this workflow? It is the contractor user. And who can approve this workflow? It is the owner user. Create. And now if I have any custom fields I need to set up for the reports, I can set up here like cost center or anything. If I add custom field, let's say in this custom field I will add cost center. I can make it a text field, or I can make it a checkbox or drop down of single select, for example. And the options will be cost CBS.1 or CBS.2. And the default value, no default value, and I need it to be applied for daily reports, for example, all kind of reports. And finally I want it to be required and show in reports table. It is required, that means that it is mandatory to fill this cost center. In the reports you have some options you can set up. For example, if you want to show the weather in the daily reports or no, or if you want the current user to be added to all reports by default or no. And here you can enable or disable your reports types. In project info you can edit the info that you have set up in your first creation of the report or of the project, or you can delete or disable projects. Now if I go to reports tab, I have no reports at all. I start to create a daily report, for example, and since there is a weather widget here, as you see, it asks you to identify your location, and it will get the weather from the location. So if I don't want to allow it, I can say never allow to get the weather, and I can add the weather manually. But if I want it to be quick, I can say allow this time and then get weather, and then it will get me the weather from the API. So here it got my weather and minimum and maximum per day and the wind, and then I can select the areas that I want to create this report for. And I can select the company. One important thing here is that this will follow the permission group that we put the user in. If the user is not part of the project admin, they will not see other companies. They can see only their company. Only project admin can select different companies. Also, areas is visible to users as per if they can see areas of all companies or areas of only their company. And here in the date, this is a daily report, so I'm going to choose which date we are in. Currently, for the API of the weather, it's not possible to choose weather for other day through the API. It only works in the same day. So if I change this to tomorrow, then the weather is not available, then I have to add it manually. So I can add it manually by adding the city, the country, minimum and maximum weather, but if I add it in the same day, it will work through the API. Project info that I work on, and then in resources, I start to see if I want to add resources to this report, I can add from the tab here, and here I can see which resources that I can report on, and I have the excavator and the owner user. So I'm going to add those, and here I have my activity for the resources. So the resources split between manpower and equipment. If I have more manpower, it will be listed here. If I have more equipment, it will be listed here. And if I have material or subcontractor, it will be also listed. Let's assume that this owner user worked in general activity for 10 hours, for example, in that day, and in the excavator worked in excavation for 20 hours, or let's say 8 hours. If we have more excavators, we can add them as different resources, like excavator 1 or 2, or we can add their total hours here, if they have the same unit price. And then in the comment, we can put any comments on that day. There was little delay in the morning in the work to site. Adding issues, if I have any issue with the work, I can add new issue from here or from issues area. And if I have any issue that there's an update on it, I can add an update here. So if there is an issue, I can define a new issue. Let's say this is an issue with access. And the company, again, if it is the contractor that is applying or the people that are not in project admin group, they can only apply from their company, but the project admin can apply for any company. The area is area 1, for example. Description is we had issue with access in the morning. Does it have cost impact or time impact? Let's say there is time impact. Who is the responsible? I can set up the responsible for this. The owner user, identified by the owner user, and identified by the contractor user, for example, the status of it, when it was identified, if there is any attachment to this. Then add issue. So this is an issue that we created. If I want to add an update, now I have the issue in draft mode since it is not yet submitted. But once I submit that, I can add an update for this issue saying this is the update of that issue. Attachments, if I have any attachments, I can add to this project. I can select any picture from online, and let's say this is a dashboard. So this is attachments. The cost center, as we know, we added in additional information or custom fields. So this is the cost center, and I can select to include or not include this report in the analytics. If I have any notes, no additional notes, then I can create my report. Since I don't have a workflow set up, it will create the report directly, and I will see it that it was created without workflow, because the workflow have only the contractor user in the settings. Now if I go to resources page, I start to see some data for resources. This is how much total cost for resources we have. If you remember, in the resources table we have put our price is 1,000 for per hour, and we have 8 hours of work. The actual total cost is 8,000 already. And if you go back to analytics, we start to see some equipment cost and distribution, and then we start to see resource histogram. And here we see our work details. So this is simply making one report. If I go back to projects, I have one demo report, demo project that I started here. And in the demo project, I have created a lot of resources, and I have created a lot of activities and also reports. In the reports here, when I have created reports that need workflow, they appear in status different from the status that was created without workflow. So for example, if I look at this report here, concrete report, I see the information of who created this report and when it was created, and I can see in the workflow tab here in the top what was the creation and who approved this report, and if there is any comment it will appear here. I can see summary of the resources that was in that report, how much their unit and everything, and checking this box here, even if the report is approved, make it possible to see the status or the analytics of that report inside the reports analytics here and resources and activities. So if we uncheck that one, it will not appear in the analytics. And if I want to disable analytics for all reports or bulk reports, I can select the reports that I don't want to see in analytics, and I can choose to disable analytics, or I can choose them and enable analytics. In the calendar view, I can see the reports, how they look like on the calendar view. If I choose the report type to daily, for example, I can see when was the daily reports sent and which dates. And then in the analytics page, if I have anything that I would like to add to the dashboard, I can click add to dashboard from the widget here, and then I can go to dashboards, reset layout, and then I see all the widgets that I have imported. If there is any other widgets, I can show and hide them from here, and this will be my dashboard. I can expand or shrink my widgets. I can even reallocate them on the dashboard itself. So if I want to add a cover photo, it will appear here. If I have more information or more data to show, I can show them in a way that is important for me, and I can hide the reports that I don't like from here. So I don't want, for example, quick links, project information, and then I can remove them. Here I can see the recent activities that was created for this project, and in the files tab I can see list of all files that was added as attachments and where they were added. in which source. So this was in a report, it might be in a report, or it might be in an issue. And I can see the storage usage that I have from my subscription. There is two places that users can interact with each other in the reports. First one, we have the comments section in the reports. So if I go to any report, I have a comment section that I can try to send a test comment, for example, or I can mention someone with @ and saying that to the owner user or to the contractor user, can you fix this, please? And then they will get a notification on their notification panel saying that someone commented in your ticket or on your report. Another way of collaborating with others in issues, we have in the issues here, the project admin can change the status of this issue from in progress to resolved, for example. But in the updates also we can add comments on these issues and see if there is any update was added inside any report, and see if there is a new update that is manual, we can add it here, or we can view the report that has that update. So you can go down here and say, okay, there was a report, there was an update on this issue here, and then I can see in the workflow of this report who created this report, so I can track the changes to those issues here. Now if I want to see analytics of this project, I can switch to resources, for example, and if the view is not very comfortable for me, I can change the width of the side menu from here, or from my display settings I can go to this display settings, and then I can change things like the mood, is it dark or light mood, the contrast of the report, is it compact mode or full width, how is the layout. So this is, for example, the menu on top, is it apparent or integrated, and the color mode of the report as we want. You can change the font size and font family. So let's stop at here in the display settings, but here we can see, for example, in the resources, this is some kind of dashboard like that, looks like Power BI dashboard. I can click on those cards, and then they filter all the data. This is, for example, my top resources by cost or by quantity. And then I have the resource histogram in the bottom. And in the resource histogram, it also has its own filters. If you hover on any one of those, you will see the quantities of this. And then you can switch between looking at quantity or cost, because we loaded the cost data on the resources. You can switch between cumulative and periodic, and then you can switch the view between month and week and day, and also year. And then at the end you see the work details of all the work details that were filled inside all the reports. You can see the resources and also the activities they worked on which report they were reported on. And here you can see at this level we have 479 record available. You can export those details to CSV and then work on them externally. Another view we can see is the activities view, and here we have the sub-project. As we said, the Gantt chart shows us simple Gantt chart that we have. In analytics, we can see similar dashboards for activities by sub-project, by activity, by high-level Gantt chart. And here inside the histogram of activities, we can see estimated and actual quantity or cost. So if we come to cost, for example, here we can see by period, the estimated cost every week, and how much the actual. Where the estimated comes from? The estimated comes from of that activity. So if I choose an activity, for example, backfilling, you switch to a whole new dashboard for that one, and this one shows you how much estimated quantity and how much actual quantity, how much estimated cost and how much actual cost. And here it is showing me the data. So there is planned start, planned finish for that activity, estimated quantity. What the system does now is that it takes this estimated quantity, divide it between planned start and planned finish in a linear way. Currently it is in a linear way. And then it will divide the cost based on that. So we can see how much estimated quantity every week. So if I switch to day view, you can see in the estimated, I will switch off the actual, so you can see that this is the estimated cost every day. If I switch to week, same. Now if I show the actual comes from the reports that we have done. So all the reports data that we have done here goes to the actual. And you can see the distribution of those activity estimated and actual below the histogram, and you can see the details of all the work details that we have done in the reports in the activities analytics page. Other things that we can do in the project, if I have any task that looks like this, I can view the report that is sent to me, and or I can see the completed tasks, and I can also look at all tasks in the project if I am project manager, seeing who sent those tasks and since when it is with that person, what is the comment also. And then if I have to review anything, when I click review here, the report that is sent to review to me is sent in it opens in review mode, and then I can see in the workflow who created this report and what is his message, which is written here also. Then I can review the details of this report, add comments, add updates, or do anything, and then approve or forward or reject, and or I can delete this report. So once I finish reviewing and click approve, it will ask me to put the final approval message, and then I can say this is approved. Another thing that we can do here is the search function. And the search function, we need to enter few words about the titles of things for now. And if we search, for example, for water, I can say that in the issues there is mention of water, that there is no water in the site. And if I go to it, it will show me the attachments and the details of this issue and all the updates like we have seen before. In support, if we come to support here, we have the guide of how to use Integra Reports. There is a detailed guide about the things that we have mentioned now. Or we can go to submit ticket if there is something not right. In submit ticket, I can define the test ticket type, title, and is it idea or technical issue. I can choose it, and then description, and then do I want this ticket to be public or no. If I choose to have it as public, then everyone can see this ticket. Otherwise, I can choose to make it private. Then I can add the attachment to this and then submit, and then it will take me to the ticket page. I can comment on it, or I can go to community tickets, and I can see this is, for example, my view only. I can upvote other people tickets if there is a good idea that I want to make it to draw attention to, or I can check my ticket. If there is any new update on this ticket, I will get notification on my notification banner. Great. This is almost everything to learn or to know about how to create project. If you wish to get more information, please read the guide and test the project. You can switch the project that you have here quickly, or you can go back to the side menu and also switch from here. If you have any question, don't hesitate to contact us, and we will try to support you as much as we can.